Hello everyone, welcome to Manika IAS. Welcome to the daily news analysis session presented to you by Manika IAS. As always, before we proceed to the discussion, we will first look at the topics that we'll be covering today along with their relevance with respect to UPSC examination. So these are the three topics that we'll be covering today. One is your gray warfare zone. So we'll try and understand what is it all about. Then it is relevant for your GS paper 3. Okay, internal security. Then the second topic that we'll be looking after is plasma analyzer package for Aditya. This is with respect to a payload of Aditya L1. The solar mission of ISRO. So we'll look about the details with respect to this. Okay, the next thing that we'll be discussing about NB8. We'll discuss what is this body, countries involved, engagement with India. Okay, it has a relevance for your prelims as well as for your mains in your GS paper 2. International relations. Okay, and it is relevant for your science and tech, and this can potentially be asked in your preliminary exam, specifically this year, because we had launched our Aditya L1 in last year only. So we can you can possibly get a question around this. This is a very hot topic for UPSC, so pay attention to this. Now let's move to the very first topic, which is your gray warfare zone. Okay, so what is it all about? Let's first understand why we are talking about this. The Chief of Defense Services, General Anil Chauhan, has said while he was addressing a session in Raisina Dialogue, which is going on, he has said that gray zone warfare, is the latest entry because of what has happened in South China Sea and the northern borders. Okay, so basically, this is with respect to China gray warfare. So it was an indirect attack on the China's policy, indirect criticism with respect to China's policy. So if you see what is gray zone warfare, see, whenever you are not in direct war confrontation, okay, you are having a proxy sort of warfare, that is referred to as gray zone warfare. Okay, now what all comes under this is, it is like cyber attacks, misinformation, economic pressures you used to subtly undermine and destabilize the opponent. China has been particularly adept at employing its strategy, notably against India and other neighborhood. Okay, so as we discussed, it was also targeting China. So now we will look after the China gray zone warfare, how it is happening. Okay, what are they doing in order to pursue their agenda with respect to gray zone? So what we have understood so far, what is gray zone warfare? It is any sort of warfare which does not include a direct war confrontation, okay, but indirectly you are putting pressures on the opponent. You are using other tactics to undermine the opponent. Okay, that is gray zone warfare. Now if you see this particular we'll then see the examples where China has used the gray zone warfare tactics. Okay, so the very first example, as the CDS also has cited, is your South China Sea. So what is the activities which China is pursuing in South China Sea? So if you see, this is your South China Sea. Here there are many group of islands like Parcel Islands, Spratly Islands, Corbug Shoal. These are the islands, and this particularly line is referred to as 9 dash line. Okay, this line. Now, China is basically claiming that all these are island which are and coming in this zone of 9 dash line are their territory. However, these are disputed and has been claimed by many countries like Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia. These countries are claiming that it is not China's territory, it is the territory belonging to their own countries. Now, with reference to this, there was also um a judgment given by ICJ, which was not in favor of South China Sea, but in the favor of Philippines. Now, and China, being a permanent member of Security Council, outrightly rejected to implement the decision of ICJ. And we have already discussed many times that ICJ do not have any enforcement mechanism. And if at all they have, it is the UNSC who can pressurize country to follow. But if China is the member of UNSC and they have a veto power, they can actually overdo the decision of any body. Okay, now that is where the bone of contention lies. Okay, now if you see, along with claiming and not the one thing that they are doing is they are claiming the territories. Second thing they are doing is they have outrightly rejected the judgment given by ICJ. The third thing that they have done along with this rejection and claiming the territory, they have started creating artificial islands by putting by using their naval vessels and everything. They are deliberately creating artificial islands and claiming their own thing, them as their own territory. Now, why is China doing that? The China is simply doing that. We have discussed the other day as well. There's a body called UN clause. According to them, they have this. We in order to have a sovereign waters, we have divided water into many zones, and if this is your territory, then a certain area is referred to as exclusive economic zone. Okay. So the more territory you have in water, the more exclusive zone you have. So you have more access to more resources, and then you can have sovereignty and over more water. And that is why China, as a part of its expansionary policies in terms of territory as well, and to have own more and more resources in the sea, they are deliberately creating more island along with claiming these islands, and that is the entire dispute which is in the South China Sea. And this is what which is referred to as not a direct warfare but a gray zone warfare, where they are not directly fighting with each other, okay, but they are using their practice and tactics uh, to claim more sovereignty over these areas. So this was their thing with respect to South China Sea. The second thing that they are doing is building near our borders. They are we also know about CPEC, BRI, Border Road Initiative. And we have also seen that China has heavily invested in the neighborhood countries of India, such as Sri Lanka, where they have taken over the Hambantota port, and they have developed many economically make dependent many countries in the neighborhood. Okay, so this is what they are doing. BRI is a flagship project of China, and we know that CPAC is going through the POK part of India. So where India has outrightly rejected, but Pakistan has accepted the proposal, and where Pakistan is also financially dependent on China. Okay, so these are all the activities which is doing. Which China is doing in order to pursue its agenda with respect to cornering India. Okay, now, the third thing that they are doing is digital investments. So, China is investing in apps, media, and other digital platforms in India. So, if you remember, in the recent past, the government has banned many apps which were linked to China. And in terms of Paytm, also, we had seen that 10% of the share were hold. 10% of shareholder of the Paytm payment bank was a Chinese company, and that is where we have also seen that the apps which are heavily invested by China, we have seen some sort of money laundering activities going through them. So that is why government is coming very strictly on the apps which have financial dependent or whose shareholders are Chinese shareholders. So that is where, because we all know that China, the it is the government marketplace. It's not public, basic, the private nahi hai wahan pe. It is the government marketplace. Okay, so government own all the resources of the country, so they can ask for any data from any private firm also any day. There is no bar on China's intervention, the government intervention, with respect to their private market space as well. And that is where the Indian government is very cautious. So these are the example of China gray zone warfare against India. Now let's see what are the India's countermeasures. So India, as we have discussed, has realized the threat that is coming, and that is where we have also taken countermeasures. As we discussed, that we are checking on the applications which are there, and the investment which is coming from Chinese firm. We are very stern with the investment that is coming from the Chinese firms, and then we have interagency collaboration in defense, intelligence, and police force. And in the recent time, you have also seen that we are trying to fence our border areas also, okay, with the other countries as well. Then increased vigilance. India has ramped up surveillance, the fencing of the border areas, strategic locations. Now, regulating tech inflows. Same. We are scrutinizing the foreign tech investment which is coming to India in order to ensure that it is we are nationally secure. Okay. So this was about the gray zone warfare, and we discussed what is it all about, what is the China tactic with respect to gray zone warfare if you consider it with respect to India, and then the steps that the Indian government has taken to counter the tactics of Chinese. Okay, now let's move to the next topic, which is your plasma analyzer package for Aditya. Okay, now the in the context is Abhi ISRO has said that the plasma analyzer package payload on board on Aditya L1 has detected the impact of coronal mass ejections. So, okay. So we had seen these ejections in the month of December and in February as well. And the package was, and the payload, that is plasma Aditya package for analyzer package for Aditya, has figured out that the had studied the solar flare with respect to the coronal mass ejections. Now it has shown that an abrupt increase in total electron and ion count was responsible for these sort of coronal mass ejections, and along with the time variation with the solar wind parameters and magnetic field measurement. So this is something which led to these coronal mass ejection, although the more details are not out. Okay, but it is the first of the information that has came from Aditya L1, which is a very good news, and this significantly shows that it is working in an appropriate manner that it should have. So, but this is not important from your exam. What is important for your exam, that you need to know about the plasma analyzer package for Aditya. Okay, because this is the area, this is this slide from where you can get a prelim question, and it is extremely important area for your exam. Okay, now what is it? It is energy and mass analyzer designed for in situ measurements of solar wind electrons. As we discussed, it also figured out that it was the change in the electrons that caused the solar coronal mass ejection and ions in the low energy range. ठीक है, so remember this thing, low energy range के अंदर it will analyze. Okay, now इसके अंदर टू सेंसर्स हैं. दिस इज अगेन इंपॉर्टेंट. सोलर विंड इलेक्ट्रॉन एनर्जी प्रोब स्वीप. The other is solar wind ion composition analyzer svikar. Okay, these are the two probes, which are two sensors which are in on board this particular payload. So it will measure electrons in energy range of 10 electric volt to 3 kilo electric volt, and this Svikar will measure iron in the energy range of 10 electric volt to 25 kilo electric volt, and mass 1 to 60 mu. Okay, they can also sense the direction of the arrival of solar wind particles. So these are the three extremely important point that you must remember, and they can come in the statement based question in UPSC. And please be prepared with this. This is extremely important. So this was about your analyzer package. Now let's move to the NB8. See, what is NB8? NB8 means Nordic Baltic. 8 represent the number of countries. And why Nordic? The Nordic term simply means that the northern countries. Northern countries. Okay. Baltic simply means that this particular sea is your Baltic Sea. So NB8 is a grouping of the Nordic Baltic 8 countries. And what are these 8 countries? Iceland, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and this is your Denmark. These are the 8 countries which are the part of NB8 grouping. And why we are seeing this grouping in news? Because this is the first time that NB8 has come to India as a participant in the Raisina dialogue. So this is a geographically linked area which share deep historical, social, economic, and cultural ties. ठीक है? And all of these countries are part of European Union. Okay, so if India has good relation with NB8, this also reflect that it will have good relation with the European Union as well. Okay, now let's see its enhanced partnership with India. The representative of the NB8 has said these things in the Raisina dialogue, that they are deepening cooperation with India, and their visit itself marks the importance that India is assigning to NB8 in deepening cooperation, dialogue on shared global challenges, reflecting a commitment to partnership, trust, and cooperation. And few days back, we also discussed that India is also trying to crack a free trade agreement with the European Union, in which we had some issue with respect to pharmaceuticals, and that and if you have good relation with the countries, that increase your bargaining power when it comes to your negotiations with respect to any sort of pact. So if you have such relation, this will help you in gaining your deal as per your wishes. Okay. Now, collaboration where India, where which are the particular areas where India and NB8 potentially can collab with each other? They include development sustainably, green transition, digitalization, peace building, highlighting the mutual interest in fostering peace, stability, and prosperity. So it, and see, if you have the collaboration of NB8, then with the Indo-Pacific, it will be a very good sign for the development of India as well. Now, importance of multilateralism. Participation in Raisina dialogue underscore the commitment of Nordic Baltic country to strengthening the partnership and promoting dialogue on global issues, reaffirming the importance of multilateralism and international cooperation. So this also depicts that we are trying to widen our scope of relationship with respect to the countries as well. And we know that the Nordic countries are some of the most developed and peaceful states. So this is the area where you can collaborate. Now, what are the challenges and security concerns in Indo-Pacific where NB8 can actually play a role? So, interconnectedness, geopolitical shift. We have seen the how the balance of power is shifting in Indo-Pacific with respect to India and China role play. The interconnectedness of the security in the Nordic Baltic region and the Indo-Pacific emphasize the need for collaboration to address traditional, non-traditional security threat. So we can get connected with these countries and we can collectively counter the traditional, non-traditional threats, and that includes your security challenges as well as the challenges coming from the climate area as well, global warming, etc., where you can actually take help of the Nordic countries. Now, the urgency of upholding the international law, as we have seen instability in Russia Ukraine area, then we have also seen the instability in Red Sea. So collectively you can bring a sort of stability. Then significance of multilateral efforts, Ukraine peace formula supported by the international community. It presents a diplomatic opportunity for a comprehensive and just resolution to the conflict. It emphasized the importance of multilateral efforts for peace and stability. Okay, so this was about the NB8 and their importance when it comes to Indo-Pacific zone, and also with respect to the collaboration that India and NB8 can have in future with respect to energy, green transition, sustainable development, climate change, etc., and to bring in peace and stability. So this was it for today, and if you have any question, you may please ask in the comment section below. Thank you. Have a nice day.